Star Wars, one of the world's biggest franchises, is found under the science fiction genre. The second word of this genre title, fiction, is just what Star Wars really is. It is made up, not real. Despite this, scientists believe that lightsabers could be made. The Force, however, is not as of yet proven to be real. The franchise expanded this winter with the premiere of the 7th episode, The Force Awakens. The movie got a great response, unlike the prequels. In the movie, we get a look at the Empire's new superweapon, a weapon much larger and more destructive than the earlier Death Stars. This weapon is called Starkiller Base, but could this weapon exist and function in our universe, as well as in a galaxy far, far away? Starkiller Base is a mobile planet, which is in itself a weapon due to the fact that the weapon is built directly into the planet's crust. The name of the planet is currently unknown. It has a large opening where a beam of energy is fired with great velocity. More details on this later. On the opposite side of the planet, there is a large number of energy collectors. But where does this energy come from? Well, it comes from a nearby star which is sucked in by the collectors until it's completely gone and the planet's sky becomes dark. The phenomenon of a star's mass and energy being sucked in by another object close by is reminiscent to the real phenomenon of binary stars. In binary stars of the type CV, or cataclysmic variable, there is a white dwarf and a red giant present. The white dwarf accretes mass from the red giant by the gravitational force of the white dwarf affecting the red giant's gravity because the stars are very close to each other and due to white dwarfs having enormous gravitational forces and a huge density. A well-known example of a binary star of this kind is Sirius. The matter the white dwarf accretes contains mostly hydrogen, and the white dwarf is capable of accreting mass until it reaches the Chandrasekhar limit, which is defined as 1.4 times the mass of the Sun. When the white dwarf reaches this limit, carbon fusion will begin in the core and a Type 1a supernova occurs, completely obliterating the white dwarf. Because the planet where Starkiller Base is located is mobile, it can easily move close to stars. How the planet moves is unknown, but most likely utilizing the same engines used on the Death Stars, just scaled up to fit Starkiller Base. The planet's gravitational pull is highly unlikely large enough to accrete mass from a star, but the Empire has earlier developed tractor beam technology that could have contributed in the accretion of the star, which is not as distant from reality as one might think. In episode 7, it is said that the beam of energy is fired and then travels through what they call sub-hyperspace before the beam reaches the planets that are to be destroyed. From earlier episodes of Star Wars, we have knowledge of hyperspace, which is described as another dimension where ships can travel through the galaxy at speeds higher than light speed. Sub-hyperspace is rather described as a passage from one place of the galaxy to another destination directly, reminiscent of a theory we have in reality: wormholes. Essentially, wormholes are passages that act like shortcuts through space and time, as supported by Einstein's theory of relativity. A popular way to look at wormholes is to view them like this. Here we see the wormhole as a tunnel connecting 2 points along a 2D surface that is space-time. Although here the entry and exit points are presented as holes, in space they would probably be spherical. This is hard to know though because we have never observed a wormhole for real. To open a wormhole and to keep it open is no easy task. In fact, it is impossible with the tools we know how to use. However, a large amount of negative energy could potentially do the job. Commonly, the term exotic matter is used to describe a type of matter with high negative energy density that is believed to be able to sustain a wormhole. One type of exotic matter is, while purely hypothetical, particles with negative mass. According to a paper by Douglas Snyder, first presented in 2008, there is a possibility that dark energy could be composed of photons with negative mass. Due to this, dark energy could be particles that would be included in the term exotic matter. This is quite practical considering the fact that Starkiller Base's weapon fires, you guessed it, dark energy. In fact, Star Wars were specific enough to name the type of dark energy used: quintessence. This is no random name. Quintessence is actually the name of a hypothetical form for dark energy that has not been proven or disproven as of yet. In some special cases, quintessence can be phantom energy, which is simply an extreme form of quintessence. Phantom energy has a unique ability because its energy density increases with time. According to the official Star Wars wiki or Wikipedia, the dark energy released by the weapon is released in the state of phantom energy. Furthermore, it says that the energy beam tears a hole through space-time, creating what we would call a wormhole shortly after being fired. The fact that it does not create the wormhole instantly could make sense, as the energy density of phantom energy increases over time, making it so that it takes a bit of time before the wormhole is created. Considering this, one could say that the beam would just keep making wormholes as its energy density keeps growing, but in the movie, the beam exits the wormhole without making another one. This could simply be explained by the beam losing a lot of energy to sustain the wormhole, therefore making the remaining energy too low to create another one. The Starkiller based superweapon was in the movie capable of destroying 5 planets all at once. To even destroy one planet, one must overcome the gravitational binding energy of a planet. Gravitational binding energy of a sphere is given by this formula, where g is the gravitational constant, m is the mass of the sphere, and r is its radius. By adding the Earth's data to this formula, we see that the Earth's gravitational binding energy is 2.24 times 10 to the 32nd power joules. This is what we will use as a basis for the 5 planets that get destroyed. We can easily figure out the necessary energy for destroying all 5 planets by simply multiplying the gravitational binding energy by 5. We then get a total of 1.12 times 10 to the 33rd power joules, necessary to destroy the planets. In addition to this, the beam must also, as mentioned earlier, open and sustain a wormhole for a little while. How much energy is required for this is impossible to know, but it should be a lot. Now the question is, would a single star be enough to power this weapon? The results might surprise you, but by using Einstein's formula E equals mc squared, we can figure out that the mass of the Sun is equal to 1.8 times 10 to the 47th power joules in energy, meaning that a star the size of the Sun would do the trick. Then again, if we look at the HR diagram, the Sun is a relatively small star, so the odds of finding a larger one are quite good. Just don't tell Han Solo that. He never wanted to be told the odds anyway. The Starkiller based superweapon could meet the requirements of accreting mass from a star using a tractor beam of some kind. However, this is far away from what we are able to do on Earth today. The possibility of the energy beam creating its very own wormhole is incredibly large. It seems like this criteria is met very well. As for the energy requirements, they are certainly met with loads of energy to spare, at least as long as the wormhole doesn't take too much of it. The main problem of this superweapon though is that there is no dark energy in stars. In addition, the dark energy in Star Wars emits light, which is also different from reality. These points makes it impossible for the Starkiller based superweapon to exist in our universe. The technology required is also not developed yet, but who knows what the future might hold.